Have you ever heard of the most successful pirate in history? I'm not talking about Blackbeard or Captain Kidd. The pirate who commanded the largest fleet, brought an empire to its knees, and retired with all her loot was a woman. Her name was Ching Shih, and her story is more incredible than any Hollywood movie. Our story begins in the late 18th century, in the bustling province of Guangdong, China. Born into poverty, a young woman named Shih was working in a floating brothel in Canton. Her life was one of hardship, with little hope for a different future. But fate, as it often does, had a dramatic twist in store for her. Her beauty and sharp intellect caught the eye of a notorious pirate commander, Ching Shih. Ching Shih was the leader of the Red Flag Fleet, a formidable pirate confederation. He saw more than just a beautiful face in Shih. He saw a partner, a brilliant strategist. He proposed marriage, but she wasn't just going to be a pirate's wife. She demanded a share of the power and an equal say in the command of his fleet. Astonishingly, he agreed. And just like that, Shih, the girl from the brothel, became Ching Shih, which translates to Zheng's widow, though she wasn't a widow just yet. Together, Ching Shih and Ching Shih transformed the Red Flag Fleet into a pirate empire. They weren't just disorganized raiders, they were a highly structured organization. They established a strict code of laws that governed every aspect of pirate life. Disobeying an order? The punishment was immediate and severe. Stealing from the common treasure or from villagers who supplied them? That was a capital offense. Their code was particularly revolutionary in its treatment of female captives. Any pirate who committed assault against a female prisoner was put to death. If a pirate wished to take a captive as his wife, he had to be faithful to her. This wasn't about chivalry. It was about maintaining order and discipline within a massive, potentially chaotic force of tens of thousands of men. Ching Shih's influence was clear. She was building a nation on the sea, with its own laws, its own economy, and its own formidable military. Then, in 1807, tragedy struck. Ching Shih was lost at sea during a typhoon. In that era, a woman's power was almost always tied to her husband. His death should have been the end of her reign. The other pirate captains likely saw an opportunity to seize control, but they vastly underestimated Ching Shih. She knew she had to act quickly and decisively to consolidate her power. She immediately took a strategic step. She formed an alliance with her late husband's adopted son and second-in-command, the formidable warrior Chung Po Tsai. This wasn't just a political alliance. It became a personal one as well, and they later married. By securing the loyalty of the fleet's most respected fighter, she solidified her own position as its undisputed leader. Chung Po Tsai would lead the men in battle, but it was Ching Shih who held the ultimate authority. She was the brilliant mind behind the throne, the one who controlled the strategy, the finances, and the laws. Under Ching Shih's sole command, the Red Flag Fleet entered its golden age. At its peak, she controlled over 1,800 ships and commanded an army of more than 80,000 pirates. To put that in perspective, that's more ships than many official navies had at the time. Blackbeard, by comparison, had 4 ships and about 300 men. Ching Shih's fleet wasn't just a nuisance. It was a dominant naval power that controlled the South China Sea. They weren't just attacking merchant ships. They blockaded entire coastal regions, sailing up rivers to raid towns and villages deep inland. They established a massive protection racket, forcing coastal communities and shipping merchants to pay tribute in exchange for safe passage. If you wanted to do business in the region, you paid Ching Shih. Her organization was so sophisticated that they even had an office on land to manage the tax collection. She had effectively created her own government and her own economy, all from the deck of her flagship. The Chinese government, under the Qing dynasty, was utterly humiliated. They couldn't ignore this pirate queen who was strangling their trade and terrorizing their coastline. They sent fleet after fleet of imperial warships to destroy her. and time after time, Ching Shih outsmarted and outfought them. She captured their ships, incorporated their sailors into her own ranks, and added their cannons to her arsenal. Her forces were so powerful that they defeated the Qing Navy in almost every major engagement. The government grew desperate. They tried everything. They even sought help from foreign powers, hiring Portuguese and British naval officers to help them hunt down the Red Flag fleet. But even this coalition of forces proved no match for Ching Shih's strategic genius and the sheer size of her pirate armada. She was simply unbeatable at sea. For years, she was the undisputed ruler of the waves, a queen whose kingdom was the ocean itself. After years of failed military campaigns and immense financial losses, the Qing government finally realized they couldn't defeat her. They had only one option left: negotiation. They offered amnesty to Ching Shih and her pirates. Imagine that. A global superpower forced to offer a peace treaty to a pirate. But Ching Shih didn't just accept the first offer. She was a master negotiator. She knew her worth and the strength of her position. She sent her second-in-command, Chung Po-tsai, to negotiate. But when the terms weren't favorable enough, she defied all convention. Unarmed and accompanied by a delegation of pirate women and children, she personally walked into the Governor General's office in Canton. This audacious move stunned the officials. She didn't come begging for a pardon. She came to dictate her terms. And what were her terms? First, a full pardon for herself and every single one of her followers. Second, and most incredibly, she demanded to keep all the wealth they had plundered over the years. Third, she insisted that many of her men be given positions in the Chinese bureaucracy and military. The government, exhausted and with no other choice, agreed to almost all of her demands. In 1810, the reign of the pirate queen came to a peaceful end. Ching Shih, the former prostitute who became the terror of the South China Sea, walked away from a life of piracy not in chains, but as a free, incredibly wealthy, and respectable noblewoman. She retained her fleet, which the government then used to hunt down other, less powerful pirates. Chung Po-tsai was given a command in the Imperial Navy. And Ching Shih? She settled down in Canton, opened a gambling house, a business she knew well, and lived out the rest of her days in peace and prosperity, surrounded by her family. She passed away in 1844 at the age of 69, a successful and respected business owner. Ching Shih's story is a powerful testament to intelligence, ambition, and the refusal to accept the station life assigns you. She shattered every expectation of what a woman, especially one from her background, could achieve. She built an empire, defied a dynasty, and engineered the most successful retirement plan in the history of crime. Her legacy reminds us that history is full of incredible figures whose stories have been overshadowed, but who are more than deserving of the spotlight. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history's most amazing tales. See you next time.